and seen all of the evidence in this lawsuit. And yesterday afternoon, because you heard the attorneys representing all the parties review and discuss that evidence, the time has now come for you to receive instructions concerning the law which governs this lawsuit. It is your sworn duty to follow the law as stated in these instructions of the court and to apply these rules of law to the facts as you find them from the evidence presented before you. You must not single out any one instruction as alone stating the applicable law, but must consider all of these instructions as a whole. Further, you are not to be concerned with the sagacity of any rule of law stated by the court. It is not our job to make laws, and regardless of any opinion which any of us might have as to what the law ought to be, it would violate your sworn duty to predicate any verdict that you return on any view of the law other than that given you in these instructions. We all want justice to be done between these various parties, and justice in this lawsuit depends to a large extent on the willingness of each one of you to find the truth as to the facts from the evidence presented before you and to strive or arrive at your verdicts by the application of the same rules of law. You were selected and sworn just last week as jurors to try the issues of fact presented by the allegations of the complaint of plaintiffs, Mr. Jerome and Mr. Ramson, and the answers thereto of the defendants, Continental Electric and Mr. Pierce. You will also be trying the issues of fact presented by the cross-complaint of Continental against Mr. Pierce. Now, you must not be biased or prejudiced toward anyone involved in this case, and you must not be governed by sympathy, prejudice, or what you may believe to be public opinion. Rather, you should consider carefully and impartially all of this evidence, follow the law as stated to you at this time by the court, and arrive at the verdicts which you think are just, fair, and right under all of the proof you have seen and heard. This lawsuit should be considered and decided by you, as if it were an action between persons of equal standing and of equal reputation in the same community who have held the same stations in life, because in no other way can you do even-handed justice among all of the parties. This being a civil matter, the burden was on the plaintiffs to have proved every essential element of their claims by a preponderance of the evidence. By like token, Continental had the burden of proving by a preponderance of the evidence every essential element of its cross-claim against Mr. Terry. Continental happens to be a corporation, and a corporation is entitled to the same even-handed treatment at your hands as is a private individual. In the eyes of the law, a corporation is a person, and all persons, including corporations, stand equal before the law and are to be dealt with as equals in this court of justice. A corporation, of course, can act only through its officers, agents, and others, and any act or omission of an officer, employee, or other agent of the corporation in the performance of his duties for that corporation is held in law to be the act or omission of the corporation itself. Now, we have mentioned preponderance of the evidence. To establish by a preponderance or the greater weight of the evidence means to prove that something is more likely so than not so. So the preponderance of the evidence is that evidence as, when evaluated and compared with that which is opposed to it, has more convincing force and produces in your mind a belief that what is sought to be proved on an issue is more likely true than not true. Whoever asserts the affirmative of any issue in court must prove that issue by the preponderance of the evidence. But proving the affirmative of an issue by such preponderance does not require that degree of proof as produces absolute certainty, because in human affairs, absolute certainty is very rarely possible. You may properly find the truth as to the facts from either direct evidence or circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence includes the testimony of an eyewitness, while indirect or circumstantial evidence is the proof of a chain of circumstances pointing to the existence or the non-existence of a fact. So you will find the facts in accordance with the greater weight of all of the evidence before you, both direct and circumstantial. Statements and arguments made by the attorneys are not evidence except when made as a stipulation of fact. When, as in this case, the attorneys